Well, thank you for coming. My name is April Katine. I am the director of the Bureau Resource and Information Center. What that is anything having to do with special ed and information. So the website, all our publications, any records requests, technical assistance papers. So we provide information not just to parents. Parents are our major audience, but also to school districts and other state agencies and things like that. So that's me. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Amy Malini. I'm the Parent Services Program Specialist for the Bureau of Exceptional Education and Student Services, which is under the Department of Education.
Okay. Okay, so what is the State Advisory Committee? It is a federal requirement that every state have a state advisory committee for the education of exceptional students. And the purpose is so that you give us guidance, the SAC gives us guidance on policies, and really how is it going in the state? You know, boots on the ground, what's going on out there, what's going well, what are the concerns? We meet twice a year in July and December. So I've passed out the list of current SAC members, and that way you can find SAC members that are closest to you. We are currently looking for a few more parents, and that's why I made this chart. So the purple dots are the parents, purely parent representatives. So any place you see a purple dot, there's at least one. Now, a couple of places, there's maybe more than one, but we really like to get a nice sampling and representation of large districts, small districts. So you can see that we have a small district here and some medium-sized districts here, or small. But we do have quite a bit of representation in the large districts. So really what we're looking for is some small district representation. We're kind of missing this area right here, and we're also missing this area right here. So if you know of a parent who is interested in applying, because this is how you become a member of the State Advisory Committee. The Commissioner of Education appoints, but basically you have to apply. You have to turn in an application in order for the Commissioner to consider you to be appointed to the State Advisory Committee. The members must be a majority of either people with disabilities or parents of students of disabilities. So it has to be at least 51% made up. But then the other representatives can be teachers, at least one representative of higher institutions, state and local education officials, administrators, those are your ESC directors, representatives of other state agencies involved in the delivery of related services, representatives of private schools or charter schools, not less than one representative of a vocational community or business organization, a representative from the State Child Welfare Agency, and a representative from the State Juvenile and Adult Corrections Agency. So those are in statute required to be on our SAC. But as you can see, the majority of people are either people with disabilities or parents of children with disabilities. A couple of things that the SAC has accomplished. How many of you are aware that there was just a big change in the diploma options? So all students can now receive a standard high school diploma, which is very exciting. And one of the most exciting things is that suggestion originated with our State Advisory Committee. So that was a huge accomplishment. It took them several years to go from, hey, we want everybody to be able to get a standard high school diploma, to the passage of the law. So that's very, very, very exciting. Also, every year, the State Advisory Committee gives us feedback on the Bureau of Exceptional Ed and Student Services strategic plan. So we have a 5-year plan that's made up of, Amy, do you remember how many different areas? It's something like 5 or 7, something like that. And basically, all the different areas that impact your children, so dispute resolution and monitoring, parent involvement, standards, teachers and leaders, behavior issues, so I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's PBS, maybe, positive behavioral supports. I think those are the areas. And so we have groups of people that come together, parents, teachers, kind of along the lines of who's represented on SAC, to work on a plan. And it's a 5-year plan that looks at how we're going to move the state forward in those areas. So Amy and I work very closely on the parent involvement piece, because that's our committee on the strategic plan. So we're required to take what we come up with in this work group and bring it to our state advisory group and get their feedback. And so what they say carries a lot of weight. So if you see something going on in the state, it's really important to, number one, reach out to your representatives and tell them, you know, hey, this is what's impacting my child or my grandchild or my neighbor's child. This is what I see going on out there in the state, and these are my suggestions for how to fix it, because it's always great when you see a problem to also think about some solutions and share those too. I mean, there are some problems that you may not have an idea of solutions, and it's okay to bring those and say, this is something I think that the State Advisory Committee should work on. But if you have ideas of how to fix it, that would be great as well. Okay, so we talked a little bit about how to become a member. So if you're interested in becoming a member of the State Advisory Committee, and again, I can tell you we're really looking for maybe 3 or 4 new members that are from small and rural districts, because we really have a high concentration of the large districts and not very many. So especially if you're in this area or this area, we're really, or if you know somebody, it may not be you, it may be a friend that lives in a different county. I'd really love to hear from you or them if you're interested, and I can get you an application.
What is the commitment if you volunteer your friend to be on this?
Well, they would have to submit an application, but the first time you're appointed is for a 3-year appointment, and it's twice a year, coming to Tallahassee. We pay for the travel. It's a 2-day meeting each time, and I have some more information in a second to kind of give you an idea of that. So the first time you apply, it's a 3-year appointment, and then after that you can reapply in 2-year increments.
So do you self-apply, or do you have to be recommended?
You can self-apply, but the commissioner always asks us who recommended this person. So if there's a school district that you've worked with, or a school, or a principal, or a parent organization like one of the, Family Network on Disabilities, any organization that you have worked with that wants to put your name forward, it would be great to be able to tell the commissioner that, you know, Family Network on Disabilities recommended so-and-so, or the Panhandle Area Consortium recommended this person. So that's really helpful. It doesn't mean if you just apply for yourself that you won't get appointed. It just means it's a little stronger if you've been working out there in the area and somebody's willing to say, we've worked with this person, we think he or she, you know, thinks really well, and, you know, that kind of thing. Okay.
Could I ask one question?
Sure.
You said it was 2 days,
Twice a year, so July and
Are they
December.
usually like a weekend or during
Monday,
the week?
Tuesday is
Yeah.
typical.
Okay.
You know, if you have a child that needs care, we can talk about that. You know, I think there's a mechanism to help assist with that kind of thing. So, I mean, you can always, there's my email address, april.katine@fldoe.org. So if you have individual questions about, well, I'd love to do this, but I don't have care for my preschool child, or I don't, you know, I can't, call me and we can chat about it and we can figure things out. So don't not apply because of a particular issue.
Do you want to give your number? You said call me.
Yes, the number at the Bureau, I'm sorry, we should have put that up there as well, is 850-245-0475. And you can get to our website, all that information's on our website. It's just fldoe.org//ESE. It's always a /, isn't it? Okay. I gave out the list, but it's also on our website. I'm sorry? Oh, yeah. Amy, you want to make sure everybody has one? Okay. Their contact information, if you want to contact them, I believe it's on our website. If not, you can contact me and I can get you your representative. Okay. At each meeting, there's a portion of time where general public can call in and give a brief comment. So if you don't want to reach out to your representative or one of the parent representatives, you can call into the SAC meeting. Here is the next SAC meeting. It is on July 13th and 14th in Tallahassee. The public comment is scheduled for 1 o'clock on July 14th. And there's the phone number. So I'll wait, so if you want to write it down.
Minutes and everything on the website and each.
Yes. A bit. Now the minutes go up after it's approved, so there's a little bit of a lag time.
Sure.
So like when we approve the minutes in July for December, after that the December ones will go up.
Is it videotaped at all, or?
It is not videotaped. But this is the number if you want to call in and make a comment. I'll wait a second so you all can write the
And
number down.
comment is basically to put your concerns on our radar, on the group's
Right.
radar. It's not a forum for discussion, but more
Right.
so.
That's a good point, Amy. It's not really like, okay, now I want SAC to talk about this right now. It's more, you know, I'm seeing in such and such a county that this is what's going on, and I'd like SAC to consider what, you know, helping with this. Or okay. Let me know when everybody's written that number down if they want to.
And if you do call, there is operator assistance, so you just won't be sitting there waiting on the line. There will be someone talking to you prior to making it live with the group.
Everybody got it? Okay. We often present results from our data to the SAC and ask them for their recommendations. Next, after we go through some of our survey data, we'd like to get you into, are there any parents of preschoolers here? Okay, so we're going to do one group then. We're going to talk about the K-12 survey results, and we'd like to kind of do a little activity that will kind of show you what we do with our SAC and give you an idea of a work group that might happen, and plus the feedback you give us we really will take back to SAC and share with them. And we also have a work group with our Fiddlers statewide work group, and they're going to be working on a similar activity, so what you say we'll take back to them as well. Okay, so how many of you know that this is the first year that we've ever been able to give back to you your survey data for your school? Okay, so in the past, we've only been able to give you back, this is for your county. Oh, we didn't bring the books.
Okay.
Do you want to go get
Yeah, I'll
them?
go get them.
Okay,
But
thank
it's
you.
the annual ESE parent survey that each
Right.
parent gets.
Right. Okay, thank you, Amy. We put together 2 big books just in case you hadn't seen your own school's data. Okay, So we brought it here with us, so Amy's gonna go get it. She has a bit of a hike, so it might take her a minute.
Is this the one from last year? Or?
It is, not this current year, because that just closed.
Right.
And actually, we have some, oh, I wonder if she brought those as well. I think she did. We have some, if you didn't get to fill out a survey this year, we have some paper surveys that you can fill out. So we said, we wonder why parents aren't jumping at filling these out. And we started brainstorming. We said, well, if all you do is give them back, this is what your district said are your top 3, and this is what your district said are your bottom 3, it's not very useful. So we said, Amy and I said, we really, really want to be able to give them back their school level data. And for the first time ever, we accomplished that. So it's already gone to your ESC directors. It is, your fiddlers have them, so you can contact your fiddlers for it. And after this, we're gonna figure out how to put it on our website too. There's only one glitch. If your school did not return at least 10 surveys, we're not allowed to give you that data. So if your school's missing, it means they didn't return at least 10 surveys.
Why is that?
It has to do with FERPA and protecting the rights of, let's say only 2 parents turned it in.
Narrow it down.
Yeah, like, if say the secretary, say you have a box and they see 2 parents put it in and that's all they get, and you wrote something really negative on there, we don't want retribution going back to your family or your
So
child.
Can I, just 2 things about that?
Yeah.
Do you think that also sometimes people don't, so we're from a smaller area, sometimes people don't put it in because don't at the beginning of that survey you ask the kid's birthday?
You do.
Okay, so I feel, just so you know, I fill it out anyways because my district already knows how I feel. But, and we're we have a love-hate relationship, we're completely fine like that. But my child also goes to, in our county, one of the center sites. Her child probably does not go to a school that even has 10 children with IEPs. So therefore, I feel like, I hear her asking, and I guess I'm just thinking, there's probably not 10 IEPs in her school. That's kind of honest to God. So I don't know if just feedback to you is that that's hard because.
I get it, but it's in statute, and literally, Amy and I went to our legal team and said, we want to be giving every school that had at least 1, and they said, we are not allowed. It is a federal FERPA, you know what FERPA is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do we have to give the kid's birthday at the beginning?
Okay, so let me talk about the confidentiality of the survey and why we do that.
Okay.
I have one question before you do that.
Yeah.
Do you know the number of surveys that were returned compared to the number of students with IEPs?
Yes, we do.
Like,
I don't have that right now,
like a
but
rough, like 50% of them returned?
Usually that just tends to better.
it's very low. It's very low.
And I'm frankly a little shocked at the 75% of positive responses.
Of the people that did it.
Yes. I know,
Yes.
that's why,
Yeah.
that's why I asked, how many actually returned them?
Right.
Because I work with Becky at Coming Up for Disabilities, and so many meetings that we go to,
Parents are miserable.
they're not asking, the school's not asking the parent for this to do the survey. So I'm usually surprised when they do bring up the survey, I'm like, wow, okay, they actually asked for it, so.
Well, it would be great if organizations like yours encourage parents to fill it out, because again, before this past year, we knew why people weren't, because they weren't getting much back, and we got that. That's why we pushed for it to be able to be school level data. But we also are trying to get parents to know now that school level data is available, and that's the hard thing, because we have to give it back to the ESC directors and to your fiddler centers, because knowing that you could go to your fiddler center to find out, and again, we're going to work on figuring out how to put it on our website.
As like the survey, I just completed my thesis paper on the survey. It's not because parents aren't getting them, it's not, most of the majority, 5% of parents do not return that survey because they don't feel they can express themselves. They're very general questions, and it's like, am I happy? Okay, in some way I am, yes, I gotta pick yes. So they don't feel they can express their voice, and that is why they don't return the survey.
We've added a comment section at the bottom for this
Is this
current.
big?
You can write,
So
Quite a-
a lot
you
of
can
parents don't,
right,
you know, after doing the research and seeing it, to many parents, and maybe that's something the
It's not
community
specific, it's just too
is
general.
too general, it doesn't allow them to really express what's going on. And when you're dealing with ESE students and parents, there's a lot of confusion. And parents don't wanna waste their time, they have so much else going on, they can't express themselves and what's really going on with their child. And that's why they just don't do it. So you do get a 73% because you only get 5 back. So it's sad, it's not because of,
It's not accurate.
and they really don't wanna see specific schools, they wanna see the needs, they wanna see what else is going on, that's what they're looking for.
say more about that. What do you mean?
They wanna see where other parents are struggling, not just in the general 73% are happy with the surveys. They wanna see other parents are struggling with the same things that they are. That's what they're looking for, more specific areas, not just the general, we're happy with it or we're not happy with it.
Okay.
They want it broken
When
down.
we get to the point where we're taking down information from y'all, if you have more specific information like that, if we could talk more about that, that would be great, so that we can get written down what you're talking about, okay? Okay. So as you can see, Amy brought,
Got my work hat.
yeah, so we've got this, and it'll be here, there's 2 big binders, and it has every school that returned at least 10 surveys, and they're down to that level, 10 or more, obviously. Okay.
You were gonna talk about birthdays?
Yes, the reason, thank you. The reason that we have to ask for a birth date is we're trying to make sure that each child is only recorded, one survey is recorded for each child. And the other thing is, we at the department and your school never ever gets that information. So we contract with Piedra Data Services and through the University of Miami, and we don't even know. So the Department of Education can't get to who that child is. Yeah.
We provide Piedra with a file. On that file, there are no names. There's a birth date, a school, and a grade. And that comes from our data warehouse. We don't even see it. That goes to Piedra, and they use that to ensure there's not duplicative surveys. Because let's say if someone goes in and is really upset and does 5 surveys, or they're really happy and do 5 surveys, it kicks out in the access to make sure that it's valid.
Well, that's good though, because like we have a parent networking group, and I know right now we can go back, we can go back and say, they don't know who you are, guys. I mean, we can at least tell them that. Because I do think it deters people.
We had an issue this year come back where a parent thought that we could find
Yeah.
the child, and they put their child's name, the school's name. They were reporting an abuse situation, and literally, because it was abuse and we're mandated to report it, we literally had to swear, and figure out, because I had to call the parent when I got the parent's name and phone number and say, we had a hard time. It took us 4 months.
First they didacted all the information identifiable, so we couldn't contact the parent, and because it was a possible abuse issue, we had to jump through so many hoops. And the only reason we got the information, number one, is because new to the survey this year, there was a text box online where parents can fill in things. So that's the only reason there was even identifiable information.
But the parent put that in the
Right,
comment
themselves.
box, their name, their phone number, basically saying, please call me because I want to tell you about this situation.
It took
So,
many hoops.
yeah, it took many, many hoops. Third entity saying, we need to bring this to your attention. Normally we wouldn't do this, but because of an abuse situation, it's an exception. So you can see that it really, even us at the state level, so it would never get back down to the school level because we wouldn't let it get that far, so.
And you may have said this while I'm gone. This is what a paper survey looks like. We have it in English and Spanish. We also have Haitian Creole available. This does not ask for birth date. It asks for school, code, and grade. So most parents, we're finding, are more comfortable with the paper survey, and we're planning for next year to do possibly more paper surveys.
Amy, while you were out, they were sharing with me that they're surprised at how high of agreement they're seeing, and that's when we got into this discussion about a lot of parents are not wanting to fill them out because they have so much more to say. They don't want it to be as general a survey as it is.
And that's great feedback. The challenge is this survey is the vehicle in which we report federal information to the federal office, OSEP. It's indicator 8. Several states got together and developed an instrument tool, which is this one. And we've heard that feedback a lot. So we are looking at options, but these questions are weighted. This algorithm that's way above my knowledge base or pay grade. So a lot went into these questions, but are they really giving us the information that we need? Not where we want it to be. So that's being taken into consideration, and we're looking into that. And that's why the scale was changed to an agreement rating. Before, if you checked agree, it was neutral. And if I'm a parent and I check agree, that means they're doing their job. It's not neutral. So we changed that 2 years ago, the entire rating scale University of Miami did. So we're making changes to make it meaningful and useful, but any of you who work with government know that it takes time and many hoops to jump through.
So it sounds like maybe calling into the SAC public comment section would be the best opportunity to
Absolutely.
actually identify yourself.
Just leave it, Amy, because it's going to keep falling.
Do you have to identify yourself when you're addressing the SAC? If somebody was concerned, I mean, I personally would be concerned, but if somebody was concerned, do they have to say, I'm so-and-so from such and such district school?
You could be, I'm a parent remaining anonymous or a teacher remaining anonymous. As long as you identified your role in some way, I would think that would be fine.
Okay, so the biggest thing we want your feedback on today, and we're going to do kind of a little mock, a shortened what we might do with SAC, is we were going to do preschool and then K-12, but since there are no preschool parents here, this is what preschool families told us statewide. So these are our lowest 3 for the state, that parents reported preschool staff connected families with one another for mutual support. Only 35% of the time. So you can see that's very low. 29.9% of parents reported that they were offered training about preschool education. Again, very low. 26.2 reported that supports were offered to participate in trainings and workshops. We found that wanting some assistance with being able to get there, whether it's childcare, transportation, interpreters, sign language interpreters, things like that kept people from accessing the trainings. So that was preschool. This is K-12, the lowest items. And we know that this survey is not perfect, but it does at least give us an idea for the state. If our SAC, we're going to take a look at what did parents that did fill out the survey. And honestly, we know that a lot of parents that are very, very happy fill out the survey, and then parents that are very, very unhappy fill out the survey. People that are just kind of quasi in the middle, often, they're the ones that may not fill it out. So we kind of do hear from both sides of the spectrum. 39.7 reported that they were offered special assistance so they could participate in the IEP. I used to be an advocate with Disability Rights Florida, and I know that this is a really big issue because it's not just childcare and those kinds of things, it's also when the meeting's scheduled. I realize that we've been talking to folks about, schools saying, well, it has to be between 8 and 3 or, 2 and 3 or giving you a very specific, we know that's a problem. And when we start to brainstorm our topics, we're gonna maybe think about some ways that we can suggest that, let's talk. I know somebody was saying they're on their school SAC. Does anybody have a district-wide SAC? Okay.
I'm trying to figure out if it's the same thing. In Duval County, I've heard of something called the ESEAC.
Yes.
Is that it?
That is it.
Yes.
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Okay.
Rosemary Parsh?
Yes, with Rosemary.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was your email again?
It's April.Katine, Katine, @FLDOE.org.
I have, is Ocala an area you're looking for?
Ocala's in Marion, Ocala's in Marion County.
Yeah, it is.
Yellow.
Yeah,
Would you need someone?
yeah,
Okay, she's gonna email you.
great, great.
Sorry, I'm just
Awesome,
trying to work it through.
That's what this is
awesome, that's
about.
great. Hang
You
on.
asked about district advisory.
Okay, thank you. So what we're really hoping will happen with our state level data, we're hoping that district advisory councils will look at this and think about, this is the state, but also you have district level data.
So when we get our district level data.
You have it already.
Your ESC
Yeah,
director.
and we meet, we have to develop like our own, like a school improvement plan, like our district improvement plan. So for us, on your 37.9, people reported that the school offers parent trainings about ESC. So every year our county does a walk and roll disability 5K. We then took that money and provided summer opportunities like scholarships to parents to apply for whatever they would like to do with their child for our money. Part of the requirement to get that scholarship is that you attend one of our ESC advisory council meetings next year, which are quarterly. So that was our goal of how we could raise our score. Like that was our response to that.
And
I mean, I don't know.
what district are you?
Fernando.
Fantastic.
Which small, I mean, which like, you
That's
know,
great.
whatever. But that was one of our targeted areas, and maybe they still can't get there or have childcare or it's during mealtime or whatever. But we gave scholarships, and part of the requirement to get the scholarship was the next year you'll come to a meeting. Then maybe you'll like it, maybe you'll hate it, you know, whatever. I don't know.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, so this is our state level, but in those books, you have your district level, top 3 and bottom 3. I mean, you have actually not just your top 3 and bottom 3, you have your whole 26 items, so you can see for your district what your district scored. And then, like I said, if you have at least 10 surveys, you can see the same thing on every single survey item, what the average for your school was. So this is, so 37.9 reported that the school offers parents training about ESC, and then the lowest was 31% reported that the school provided information on agencies that can assist my child in the transition from school. So,
And
I
SAG.
see you're shaking your head.
Well, I'm new to Florida. I can tell you all about special education in Indiana.
She's like, I'm
And I'm new to Florida, and that was one thing moving here. I have 2 different spectrums of an IEP. I know nothing about ESE and how it works and how it's going through the school, so here again, I don't know who our contacts are, the school never told me. I know our teacher and our ESE director. I don't know the district stuff. I don't know any training in the area. I don't know. Trying to find physical therapy, trying to find different agencies to even help. We can't help you with that. We can't be partial. I don't care. Leave me, give me 10 facilities. I'll find my own. Nothing.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you about an organization. Most of you probably know about it, but being new to Florida, you might not. It's called Fiddlers.
Yeah,
So
I
you
just
keep
found
using
out
the
about it.
acronym, and
Okay.
I've been in Florida for 7 years.
And you don't know what Fiddlers is. It's the
I just found
Florida
out today, so-
Florida Diagnostic Learning and Resource System. Capital F, Fiddlers, FDLRS. Because if you just Google capital FDLRS, you will find them, because it comes up first when you Google that. But that is what they are, the Florida Diagnostic Learning and Resource System. And every district has a Fiddlers, okay? And they provide parent trainings, they provide information, they provide child find, they provide webinars, so online, but also face-to-face trainings, assistive technology assistance. So if you don't know about your Fiddlers, everything you were just saying, they provide. And
But
they
again, the school never told me. I've gone through a whole school year. I come to this and I find out. And that's why they have
31%.
Right.
That is why it's
And
31%.
Our 3:30 session in here, if you're not already planning to come, we're gonna talk about parent services across the state and federally funded centers that can help you. But it's good to hear that feedback, and it's definitely an area.
So
that
like
we're-
our issue with that is that our parent liaison is half funded by the district and half funded by Fiddlers. She's doing a
to interject one thing about SAC, like this last item, they began working on that when, and conversations of maybe including something on the online IEP that the district fills out that tags you to resources. So they're thinking outside of the box and ways to address this. So it's actual real work that is happening. It's not just like, oh, that's the result, so let's put it in the book and put it on the shelf. So we really are actively asking for input from SAC and really working on ways to put supports in place to up these numbers.
But there's also, there's an expansion of 211 throughout the state that a lot of schools might be in that situation where, well, I don't want to say, what should I say, which makes me crazy, but a lot of times they will say call 211 or look at the 211 website, and then that'll give you a lot of information about what we have. 211, just like 411.
211 is like 411, but you can call 211 and you can.
How is that not?
I know.
Common
Well, not
knowledge.
every, and that's why I said it's an expansion, not every one of them has a special needs portion of it, but it's developing now, so it's, in the next year or so, it
So
will
it's
be.
not a specific special needs?
No, it's like if you had pretty much just kind of any issue, a baby get phone calls like, I can't pay my light bill, do you have any resources?
Right.
So it's like a resource, so just call.
It's like a
211
community
and ask them if they
organization
have
resource.
But then the things you learn, you can probably help facilitate 211 to give that information out to people.
Right.
Right, and also APD, the Agencies with Persons with Disabilities, they have a wonderful resource list. You plug in your county or your zip code, and it pulls up all type of things. I don't know their website. They're another state.
It's just apd.org.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, they're another resource. They do have a resource list, like Amy was saying. But 211 isn't just for special needs. It's for any need for any organization in the state, and they'll direct you, and a lot of times they'll warm line connect you to that organization.
What about when you see such a low thing of parents understanding? You know, we were new, IEP was coming from Indiana, it's not like they didn't know we were new parents. A welcome packet, anything, just letting them know, here's who your contacts are in your district. I understand they can't be partial to certain places, just, here you go. Or even parents that are new to an IEP, it's a whirlwind, and many of them are like, my kid's fine, and pushing away. Give them the resources, give them something, give them a packet. That number will go up if they have that.
Right.
It's
a good suggestion.
Amy, you want to start writing some of this on?
What's that book, was like a parent primer that the state had put out? I don't know if that's still happening.
Yes, it's.
I think it's got a lot of that.
Yes, and we have it at the B's table, Intro to Exceptional Student Education. Thank you, thank you. The Bureau of Exceptional Ed and Student Services. Thank you. I do need that reminder. We do talk in alphabet soup.
I just wanted to share, because it's happened to me, APD has actually changed to apdcares.org.
Thank you.
Because I was sending email to our person and it was kicking back, and it's just because they added cares.
That's true, they did, yes.
So,
apdcares.org, that's right. Okay, I turned it off because we're done with that. Okay, so now we'd like to do our little work group, and we'll just take one at a time and get some feedback from you.
Do you want me to write, or do you want to read?
You want to just put it over here so you can...
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the first one is parents reported they were offered special assistance so they could participate in IEPs. We started that conversation a little about you're told you can come between 2 and 3 and that's when your IEP is. So let's brainstorm together and I'll tell you one of the biggest things I've heard that I would really like some feedback from you. I get told we can't do it outside school hours because it's union issues, or we have to have our staffing specialist there, so you have to do it when she can be available. So those are some things I've heard. What are some other things you've heard, and what are some solutions?
I think that people don't know that they can tell, like when they ask on the bottom of the paper. I come from a place where we have to do everything in writing, it just kind of is what it is. So when you get your invitation and you can't, I think it's nice if you have that relationship to pick up the phone, but you write back and you list, no I can't, and here's the 3 times I can. A lot of times if you actually have the knowledge, or they would maybe say the audacity, I mean, I don't know what the right verbiage would be, but to write, I can't come at these times, here's 3 times that I can, they would probably go, oh, this person knows that they're allowed to tell us this, and they probably will accommodate one of those things. I mean, for us, our biggest issue is like getting, if your committee involves like somebody from district or whatever, that's always the hardest part for us. I mean, they're always it's always testing time. So the teachers are always testing of their, I mean, so even your child's ESC teacher can't come to the table, which is really sad that you're having a team meeting, but every ESC teacher is, or someone with even staffing specialists, everybody who essentially is a certified teacher in a role during a third of the year during testing times are testing students with accommodations, including our own. So that cuts out like half of the meeting times, I think, which testing is an issue for everything, but that's what it is.
Right.
And I've never had them tell me they stay all night for me, so I don't really know.
They've told me that, you know, it could be a staffing issue, that they're not at the school, they're at a different school. So they can't make it, the staffing specialist, they have to reschedule something else.
I think people just don't know that their rights are to say. I think people just don't know their rights to say, you know, okay, you can't come find them. I mean, everybody that sits in the county office can run your staffing if your staffing specialist can't. Like, people don't know to ask for somebody else.
I'm trying to remember the form that I get, and I think all it says is there's a box, I will attend or I will not attend.
Oh, ours has like 5 options and it
Yeah,
says if
well,
you
and
can't
maybe
attend,
it's
when
like-
can you?
Yeah, I think it's required to have, if you can't,
Yeah.
do
3
you,
options.
Three-
It has to, by
yeah,
federal law.
right.
It has to have 3 options. Can you attend at the scheduled time? Can you not attend at your scheduled time and the suggested time of when you can attend? Or the option of not to attend at all.
I
Right.
don't know if I've ever not just read it that clearly, or it didn't occur to me, but I guess I always just assumed that, well, that's when they set it up, so that's when I went. I don't think I thought that I had a choice
It's in-
when I could do it.
It's in statute that it must be set at a mutually agreeable time.
I think letting them know that they can appear by phone is a good suggestion.
That's good.
Yes.
Because I don't think, some people are just like, okay, I can't get there, period, so I kind of have to let it happen, but they don't know that they can be called or dial in from anywhere. At least letting them know that helps them feel maybe somewhat involved.
They also need to understand that they can request who's attending. If their child is in certain classes and that's where they're struggling as part of it. On the letters, some letters do, some letters don't. Indiana's letter said which teachers were going to attend. My Florida one did not. And some of them I just said, no, please excuse them. I don't have any concerns at this time. Or others, I would write in teachers, I want it there. And parents need to know that they can also say that, who they want there at that meeting.
Okay, great. Any other feedback on this?
Just, I know that one of the biggest issues that I hear is, because, you know, I help parents know their rights. So we'll have like meetings whenever it's appropriate during the day. And so one of the, you don't like to complain, but the administration will say that I don't have any subs to cover the classroom. So if you want a request, it would be to have specialized sub dollars so the teachers and all whatever staff to attend IEP meetings so that there's not that pushback from administration. I mean, they do it, they figure it out, but, but that's, when there's an advocate there, they do that.
Yeah.
But so many times we go to meetings and we walk out with a parent, and the parent says, the meetings never go like that. They're very different. That people breathe in, they breathe out. And, that 5-member required committee is like 2 as the other ones are floating.
Right.
And that's something as a parent too, you wanna feel like your time, you're being listened to. And so many times you sit in those IEP meetings, and I get, every one of them I walk out mad because I feel like, well, thank you for wasting my time. And then they're like, oh, I gotta go, I got bus duty. I don't give a rat's patootie about your bus duty. We're talking about my kid. And, oh, my kids are coming in now. And that's the ESE teacher. No, my kid's in your class, you're gonna sit here and you're gonna listen to me. If it takes us 3 hours. If it takes 3 hours, it takes 3 hours. schools don't want to give us that. And that is the biggest hang up. Value our time, we're valuing yours.
Do you feel like they're busy telling you things and not listening, or what's eating up the time that you're not getting?
Well, mine is, I know the IEP and I question it. I absolutely question it. There's things I'll say. Fortunate for me, I've learned, that's what I just did my master's in, was to help advocacy for parents, because I'm tired of going in there and struggling. But they don't want to listen to me. They're like, oh, no, I gotta go. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what your rights are. Well, little do they know that, yeah, you're gonna sit here.
Okay, great.
For you, I'm just curious on that, like, if we're talking, I'm just reading it, reported that they were offered special assistance. The only complaint, like, for you, that interprets really only to a combination of time. I'm just curious what other kinds of things people would want assistance for?
Transportation.
Transportation
That is a number one thing in
and
a lot of your
childcare.
smaller areas.
Transportation and childcare?
Those are some of the things we've heard, is that they maybe have a baby or a preschooler.
Translation, some of the.
Translation, we've heard that, definitely. Sign language, but also like Hispanic or
so
Haitian Creole or Russian.
I know what all of ours would be. I can think for our interpretation or our transportation. What do people, for childcare, what do people normally offer? Like a place that does offer, so I know that we have both the the Spanish, all those things, but I'm just curious, people that do complain about childcare, is there a district that's someone that's really doing that very well, and how are they doing it?
So,
how do they accommodate?
So here's a really nice thing that we're working on with our Fiddler Center, our Florida Diagnostic Learning Resource Center. We are going to do a crosswalk. So we're going to do just what you just said. Look at the districts who have the higher percentages in the things that other districts have the lower percentages, and ask them what they're doing to get those high percentage. And then on the back of those surveys, you're going to have, these are the resources. Like, we have 90 discretionary projects from the Department of Education, everything from the card centers, so that is the Center for Autism and Related Disorder, the Fiddler Centers we've been talking about. Family Cafe is one of our discretionary projects. So the Department of Education is trying very hard to get families information.
I think one of the key things too, and I just hit me, participate. Attend and participate are two different things.
Yes.
Teaching the parents I've been playing this game for 6 years now, on that first meeting that I sat down at. And, if parents, we've had to seek out everything that we've got knowledge-wise. We've been back to school. We've gone to research any workshops or whatever is available. But educating parents about the IEP process and what should be contained therein and how it should be written. If they don't understand it, today I don't even know that I could read an IEP and know with 100% certainty that everything is being covered the way it should be. And that IEP drives funding, it drives resources for the student. So teaching parents the IEP process.
And just what you said, Anne Marie, advocacy matters, and parents sharing with other parents matters. Dr. Monica Veritarato, our bureau chief, is going to be here later this evening, and she's doing a session tomorrow, I believe at 3 o'clock. And in this room. No, Boca 5, I think.
Oh, sorry.
I think. But one of the things she's going to be talking about is a state complaint that was filed this year on ESY, which is extended school year.
They didn't even ask about that this year. First year, they've not even asked
Well,
about it.
Disability Rights Florida, which is the protection and advocacy organization for Florida, filed a state systemic complaint. And so Dr. Monica Veritarato is going to tell you the results of that, and what you should be looking for as parents when you're talking about ESY. And every single IEP should talk about ESY, not just students with the most significant disabilities. So make sure you come tomorrow at 3 o'clock to hear Monica's presentation, because she's going to have some interesting stuff to tell you.
It's going to be interesting. So they're pushing districts more to ESY, because ours, systematically, it was it's available 1 day a week, it's available,
You need to come,
whatever,
you
it's-
need to come tomorrow because
you
it's
have to
very
train
My
someone.
child's in 4th grade and this is my 6th year, and I can just tell you that you just nailed my thumb of how I think he was offered ESY for the first time ever this year, so now you just answered my question of why. 'Cause they
We
didn't
didn't even
like
mention it.
There has been 2 calls to districts late in the year to inform them of the complaint, the findings
Right.
and recommendations.
One of the findings was
Yeah.
every district was required to attend a webinar that we put on with 2 attorneys telling them what they need to do about ESY and they need to make sure that they are following the letter of the law. So I'm glad to hear it's getting down to the district level.
Well, I know when I went through transition a few years back, if I hadn't had an advocate with me at the time, because it was my first IEP, she specifically asked about ESY, and it was that tiny little box on the IEP, and I wouldn't have known about it, but my child turned 3 in May, and he would have missed out on services for a whole summer if he didn't start. So if she hadn't been there, so one of my thoughts was, I know in the foster care system, they have guardian ad litem. I think that ESC parents need a guardian ad litem. Somebody, I know that there are people that do the advocacy and show up and go to IEP meetings, but the woman who went to my first one, after that, she wasn't available anymore. Like, she left doing that or something. I mean, that would be a wonderful way
Well,
to.
our branch of Family Network is actually funded by our county government.
Okay.
So I would encourage everybody to go to their county government and act because that
Doesn't
is
every
a,
county has one, don't they?
Not necessarily, not funded by
No,
her.
but
Funded by some fashion.
throughout the state of Florida, Amy,
There-
mention
there-
our next.
Right.
Yeah.
The next presentation we're doing on parent services, there's 4 funded parent centers that have regions across the state who offer services free of charge for students with disabilities, and they do IEP training. Some will attend by phone or in person. And the next presentation we do will have their information. They're actually presenting here with us. It's a joint presentation. In some of our fiddlers, it just depends. Now, some districts do have PALs, parents as liaisons, which we're looking into maybe a statewide training, but we're having to find an agency that does that. But this is something we are hearing, to have someone who understands the process to help you, to assist, to walk you through.
Okay, we don't have much time left, so I want to hit on the last 2.
No, I just wanted to say, you mentioned what I was gonna bring up, because at one of my daughter's recent IEP meetings, it was exactly that person who knew the process and how your IEP should be in compliance. That was the saving grace of our IEP session, because anytime they try and gloss over or skip on something, she would pop up and say, wait a minute, that's not in compliance. You need to show more data, you need to have so many months of data collected before you can make a decision like that. And so I'm in Pinellas County, our district has that. They have multiple people who serve as parent liaisons at Hampton, as long as you give them enough notice on your IEP meetings with you.
Right. And just so I mentioned it earlier that I was an advocate with disability rights, so I get it. I think it was you that said, if you bring an advocate with you, sometimes the whole tenor of the meeting changes. And yeah, and so it's, if you feel things aren't going well, there are many different things you can do to help things go better for your child. And again, Monica's gonna talk about that tomorrow.
Tell me again, you keep mentioning 3, but I'm looking at my little schedule, and it's either 2:30 to 3:30 or.
It's at 11 tomorrow.
She said 11 a.m.?
Oh, Monica's at 11?
I haven't.
She's at 11.
I'm sorry about
Me
that.
too.
I apologize.
Is she only doing one?
She is only doing
So
one.
Tomorrow at 11.
Tomorrow at
Come
11.
early because it fills up.
It does fill up. So that was, yes, it's this one. It's at 3 o'clock today on parent services, and then it's, thank you, 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
The one thing too we gotta focus on is the participate and getting parents to participate. One thing a parent has to know before they ever walk into that IEP, teachers and administration will be like, oh, we drafted your IEP, here it is, this is it. No, your IEP is not done, it is not on that piece of paper. We can't be bullied to think that that is our IEP and they put it together. Everybody needs to walk in with a blank piece of paper, because that IEP is not developed until you walk out. And everybody has there's ideas,
Right.
and there's guidelines and the information, but that's not your IEP. And we walk in as parents when we first go to our very first one, and we think, oh, it's all done, we don't have anything to do, why do we need to participate? In actuality, it's not developed yet. We need the parent
Right.
input to fill in the other part.
Well said, well said. The report of the school offered parents training. I think we've touched on that a little bit, that it's really through the Fiddler Centers that you get the training and the other discretionary projects. It's not that schools don't offer training, it's that they're really not required to, that it's coming from the state and the discretionary projects.
As a staff member for my son's ESDM, the parent representative, at our last SAC meeting, I said, I'll tell you what I'd like to do, because I want to do my job in this position here, and I'd like to have a class for all ESD parents on how to read their IEPs.
Great.
Because I don't think, I first done like 2 years ago with an older son with ADHD, and how to read an IEP.
That's a great suggestion. Other suggestions?
Well, we, again, in a small area, but we partner with Title I, ESOL, other federally funded things together to do Parent Institute. So, while if Title I had a parent meeting, ESC had a parent meeting, and then the agencies say, oh, we really hate doing these things because we pay these people, we get these speakers to come, and we give food, and then people don't come. When they all go together, and we're in a small area, I felt they were it seems like they're much more attended, because then you just, kind of like this, like everyone here's for disabilities, but they're here for all different things. So when you do that together, some are there for ESOL things, some are there for food and nutrition, some are there for ESC, but when they're all there, then I think it's reciprocated that both those people feel like it was a success, and then the parents attend the breakout sessions that they want. And
Something
that's what we do.
simple is having somebody, or breaking down the barriers of communicating, like Fiddlers, yes, they advertise their stuff online. PEPSA for the autism community advertises their stuff online. Most of the time, most of the parents are not aware that those programs are out there, nor are the educators.
So the
There's so
school
many
can
times that we take
advertise.
flyers,
Mhm.
right? We take flyers
That's
as
why
a
I'm saying the
teacher.
welcome packet.
Right.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
a
we
great
pass it
idea.
on
Welcome
to the
every year.
Yeah.
Give it to them every
Did you
year.
hear that, Amy? A welcome packet?
Yeah, I do that every
Okay.
year.
My son is just graduated kindergarten and went into first grade. And I didn't hear about any of these organizations until I had an issue with them in preschool. There needs to be some kind of communication, with the health department or when moms give birth. He's my only child, first time parent. So there needs to be something before you even get into the education setting. And I know about your Department of Education, there needs to be some kind of connection with the health department that can get the information to the parents,
We needed a pediatrician.
you know.
And we had to seek out.
As a parent, you just don't know. I don't know how my son should be. I don't know,
Right.
Now I know, but
Right.
before.
You don't know
you
what
need-
you don't know.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how it should be. You don't know the delays. You
So-
don't know.
Early steps.
Well, because even early stuff.
But also
so
they're
they don't
saying to,
know.
the health department, pediatricians.
Early connections, connect with DOH.
I have found early steps to be wonderful, because I have my second child going through now. But I thought it was interesting that in the medical community, they did not.
Correct. I mean, early steps is great, but she's exactly right. The medical community wants you to wait so far, unless you have a child that's flat, born, and it's just straight obvious. The pediatricians essentially have a, let's wait,
Well,
let's
their
wait,
recommendation
let's
though
wait.
was, yeah, you probably need physical therapy, and you could go through early steps, but you have private insurance, so just go ahead and do it that way. And honestly, that was the worst thing that I was ever told, because the private therapy was not appropriate for what my needs were. And my child was definitely more involved than what anybody was willing to tell me.
So educating physicians that,
Yes.
Now, our pediatrician did refer, but we went through early steps and child find and didn't red flag through either one of them, even though we were seeking out therapy and we had concerns. It didn't come out until he started kindergarten, and then all of a sudden there was a huge problem, and he was successful in pre-K. But kindergarten,
Going back to the marketing, well, again, we live in a rural area. social news, everybody's so behind the times of, is that okay or not? So fortunately, I'll just say fortunately, I feel, we were young enough to get a young superintendent, who has quickly established, while we are in a state of emergency, a social media policy. But because the reality is that establishing that first is gonna help everything else start to fall into place. So I think that it was so taboo about not doing it, teachers not talking to parents and all these things. And so district-wide, not just with ESC, district-wide, she came right in, and every single one of our schools has a Facebook page. Granted, it's modern and it's still monitored and it's still really strict, but at least it's getting better. And she's realized, yeah, they're realizing there's a need for it to happen, I think.
All right, I believe our time is up, so we're not going to get to our last one.
I added some things that fit.
Okay, and if you have other suggestions for that last one, which is school provides information on agencies that can, I think we were kind of talking about it here.
Mixed up, yeah.
Yeah. So
Are you talking about like when they're older, like when they're 20s,
to transition, yes. Anybody there yet?
Who's transitioning from elementary to middle and middle to high school.
Right.
Preschool comes way before.
Right.
Do
Do you have any quick suggestions for that? If we can add one or two?
It needs to be taken more seriously, and that is across the entire United States.
Well, but like I'm on this committee that we've been examining, our county got audited. And so I'm the chair of this committee that we're taking the audit and we're figuring out what we're gonna do. And so one of the things that we've been looking to do is have a adopted transition plan. And we've looked at several. The state of Virginia has a beautiful plan. Mm-hmm. It's implemented throughout the state. It takes serious consideration with disabilities, abilities, rather than the disabilities.
Right.
And so we're looking to kind of piggyback on that. And it would be fabulous if our state had something to roll out so that each of the 67 counties didn't have to
Come up with
figure it
that.
out.
Recreate the wheel.
Another place to look, again, it's out of our country, Finland, they transition their students, but it's phenomenal.
Finland.
Oh, Finland.
Yeah.
And Norway too.
Well, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And like I said, there's one at 3, and then thank you for correcting 11 o'clock tomorrow for Monica's presentation. And I believe it's Boca 5, but check your schedule. Thank you.